Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News Today starts now.
We have new information on a shooting that happened late last night. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Jordan Berger.
And I'm Sarah Moyers. There was a heavy police presence near Larch Court as multiple cruisers lined up along the road at that scene. Columbia Police Department spokesperson Jenny Hooper says officers responded to reports of shots fired on Larch Court around 9 p.m. That's where they say they found a man who sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Officials say they don't have information on what led up to the shooting, but say the injured man was later taken to the hospital by EMS.
Right now there is no disturbance that's continuing. We have 2 people detained. We're unsure if there are any outstanding.
We'll continue to update you both on air and on KOMU.com as we learn more.
An Independence police officer and court official were killed while serving an eviction notice yesterday. Law enforcement held a procession to escort Officer Cody Allen and court official Drexel Mack. Officers responded to reports of shots fired at a home in Independence just after 1 o'clock. Officers were helping a victim when a suspect opened fire. Officer Cody Allen died from his injuries, as did court official Drexel Mack. The Independence police chief and a circuit court judge had this to say.
He is a hero, and unfortunately he lost his life today serving this community.
We are devastated for the loss that we as a court have suffered. We are so grateful for Independence police officers being there as quickly as they could be.
2 other officers were injured and transported to the hospital. The suspect suffered minor injuries and is in custody.
A former lieutenant and court deputy are facing involuntary manslaughter charges in connection to the death of Brooke Bailey. An autopsy report shows she died in her Cooper County jail cell from untreated diabetes back in October. Court documents say Robin Pfeiffer and Rachel Atherton failed to get Bailey help after she complained multiple times of feeling sick. The documents also say the 2 allegedly discouraged other jail employees from filing reports to investigators. Bailey's clothes were covered in urine and vomit when she was found laying on the ground. Her daughter says she's grateful the jail is being held accountable.
I mean, everybody wishes this didn't happen, but I just wish I could have my mom back. But that will not happen because of the people who decided to make those decisions.
Bailey was in jail on a court-ordered commitment to the Department of Mental Health. She was 33 years old.
Out the door this morning, we have mostly cloudy skies. There's a few light showers, a few light snow showers, those heavy wet snowflakes falling, even some sleet pellets mixed in there. I don't think a lot of this, A, is making it to the ground. B, anything that does make it to the ground is going to melt on contact. We have a very mild start to March. That continues even into next week. More details coming up.
I'll sure say. All right, Beth, thank you. Well, the Alabama legislature moved quickly to pass new protections for in vitro fertilization. It comes following nationwide backlash over a state Supreme Court ruling that jeopardized the widely used treatments. NBC's Alice Barr takes a closer look at the clash between science and politics.
It's possible when Missouri voters go to the polls in November, they could be asked to both legalize and ban abortion. Republican Senator Andrew Koenig brought a bill to committee that would allow Missouri voters to maintain the state's abortion ban. But activist groups are working to gather signatures to allow voters to legalize abortion again. So what happens if both make the ballot and both pass? Since the competing measures would cancel each other out, whichever receives the most votes would win in that case. An abortion opponent says the resolution to keep abortion illegal is about giving voters a choice and voice, while an abortion advocate calls it a political game to try to keep abortion illegal.
So it'd be up to the voters to decide what they want. And this is giving the voters a choice, a complete choice.
I'm confident that Midwestern voters and Missouri voters don't fall for these kinds of political tricks, and we'll see right through them.
The abortion advocate says her organization has already helped gather thousands of signatures to put a measure to make abortion legal again on the ballot. The resolution to give voters a chance to keep abortion illegal still needs to be voted out of committee and discussed on the Senate floor.
Starting today, Mexico residents will have to pay higher water shut-off and turn-on fees. Since 2012, the shut-off and turn-on cost has been $28.50 for each or $57 for both. But now those fees have more than tripled. If your water gets shut off, it's going to cost you $94. And for it to be turned back on, you'll have to pay another $94. Mexico City manager says the hikes were not the city's decision.
They're going to be mad, and they're going to be upset, and they're going to take it out on us. And we had nothing really to do with it or regulate it or set it, and it's set for us. So, but we'll end up having to deal with it, and that's our concern.
The water provider issued a statement to KOMU 8 saying in part, quote, "These agreements are updated periodically to reflect the cost of turning off water service and are common practice to avoid more costly methods." Up next, Texas wildfires leave a path of destruction.
Plus, President Biden and Trump's visit to the border brings up new questions.
But first, that is a live look over downtown Columbia on a bit of a rainy sky cam there. It's 6:08. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. The massive Smokehouse Creek fire is now the largest wildfire in Texas history. The blaze has killed at least 2 people since it sparked Monday, and it's still burning mostly out of control. Disaster relief workers are preparing supplies to send to the Panhandle to help those who are impacted.
Every opportunity we get to serve individuals and families, we lean in.
The Austin Disaster Relief Network typically comes in to help about 3 days after a disaster first hits. It works with the Department of Emergency Management and local partners and has pallets of supplies packed and prepared.
What we've learned is the timing and the assessing of needs is critical to getting people what they need to get at that time. We don't want to send things that people don't need. So we're really just listening for what precisely do you need so that we can get them there.
A new layer of snow has fallen in regions where the wildfires have subsided, but conditions are set for much of the fire to continue spreading through the weekend. Temperatures in the region are expected to warm up to the 70s with dry air and gusty winds.
KOMU 8 First Alert Weather.
Sorry. Today is March 1st, which is the first day of meteorological spring. This is how we keep records. We start on the first of the months instead of the first official day of the season. It keeps everything in order just a little bit easier.
Gee, I wonder if Beth's excited for those roll cards. Maybe? Maybe so. All right, Beth, thanks. At least 43 people are dead and 22 others are in critical condition after a fire broke out in Bangladesh's capital. The state-run news agency there says the blaze first started at a restaurant in a multi-story building and then it spread rapidly to other restaurants and shops. Those who were injured are being treated at 2 major health facilities for burns, but doctors are warning that death toll could rise.
At least 112 people were killed and hundreds more injured in Gaza. It comes after Israeli forces opened fire while civilians were gathering around food and aid trucks. That's according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza. Israel's military and witnesses have conflicting accounts of what exactly happened. CNN's Jen Sullivan has details on what both sides are saying happened and the reaction from U.S. officials. That tragedy marks one of the deadliest single incidents in Gaza since Israel's war against Hamas began in October.
President Biden spoke on the passage of the bipartisan funding bill. Senate lawmakers passed a bill to extend the deadline on a government funding bill. The stopgap measure provides lawmakers more time to fund all government agencies and avoid a federal shutdown. The president emphasized that the bill's passage was not a long-term solution, adding that, quote, Congress must do its job and pass full-year funding bills. After high-profile border visits, some are asking, what's next? President Biden and former President Donald Trump are fresh off trips to the southern border. An administration official says Biden is considering executive actions to restrict asylum seeking. But the president says what he really wants is the House to pass the Senate's bipartisan immigration bill. Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says the state will appeal a ruling that blocks it from some immigration control actions.
Lawmakers in Georgia advanced a bill requiring law enforcement to report and track anyone living in the country illegally. The Georgia Criminal Alien Track and Report Act of 2024 gained traction following the death of nursing student Laken Riley. The suspect, Jose Antonio Ibarra, was arrested in 2022 after unlawfully entering the country and was paroled and released. The law gives police officers the power to arrest with probable cause anyone suspected of being an undocumented immigrant and the authority to transfer the person to a federal facility.
Coming up, the ultimate grand slam for travelers. Welcome back, everyone. Today is the second day for the True False Film Fest. This is an annual event that brings people together as well as increased traffic in the city. And many festival goers are Columbia residents, but most are out-of-town guests. The increase in visitors will also bring an increase in traffic for the city. Some guests are finding different ways, though, to avoid the crowds.
They got us showing up an hour early to be on time, but for the most part, we're just going to stick around and walk around so we can be around for the films when they do start. So we'll just get here early and continue throughout the day.
The film fest will end this Sunday. You can still buy movie tickets and passes today.
The watch for Washington, D.C.'s cherry blossoms is underway. The cherry trees along the tidal basin haven't started their blooming cycle yet, but weather experts are predicting peak bloom will begin on March 24th. Peak bloom is declared when 70% of the blossoms on the tidal basin's cherry trees are out. Last year, D.C.'s famed trees had its peak bloom on March 23rd.
That's something I wish I had done growing up, living so close to D.C. It's only, 4 hours from where I grew up. Something I just wish I could have done. I could still probably do it though. Out the door, mostly cloudy skies. There's a couple of light showers out there, a few light snow showers out there as well. I'm not expecting any road impacts. A lot of what's making it to the ground is melting on contact, and a lot of this is continuing to move out. It's 34 in Columbia, 33 in Fulton, 35 in Mexico, and 37 in Boonville. Winds are out of the south about 5 to 10, even 15 miles an hour. So feel like temperatures this morning are sitting in the 20s. It feels like 28 in Columbia, feels like 29 in Fulton. I think grabbing that large cup of hot coffee will get you through this chilly morning. We'll be in the 40s by lunchtime, in the 50s by the time you're heading home. A very mild afternoon. And tomorrow, we're climbing even higher. Tomorrow, I think we make it into the 70s with plenty of sunshine. I also think we make it into the 80s by Sunday.
I thought about this yesterday as I was in the car. You know what?
I still have something to say.
Sorry.
It's my turn. Thank you. After becoming the first Irish person to visit every country in the world, travel blogger Johnny Ward decided he wasn't finished challenging himself. Starting in 2007, his journey saw him hitchhike a ride on a container ship from Oman and travel over land from Cairo to Cape Town. He has completed what he calls the Ultimate Explorer's Grand Slam, which involves reaching the highest peak on every continent and visiting the North and South Poles, in addition to visiting every country. This sounds exhausting. It sounds incredible, and I would love to learn that much about the world and see that much of the world, but it also sounds exhausting.
Yeah, what job does he have?
Right. How are you
I want it.
He must work remote.
Doing this? Are you living in an RV? How'd you do that?
Yeah.
How'd you afford that?
We want to know.
We want to know.
Tips?
Let's take a live look now over mid-Missouri. That is downtown Columbia at 6:26. About 30 minutes left to go here on KOMU 8 News Today.